Hello, gamers! What's going on? It's boy Astrid, but Games back with another stream. Yep, I know all my content that's been related, but all that will stop, I think, after Deltarune. After I read the book, Deltarune chapter 3 and 4. Now, I want to say, I don't know if I'm possibly might be able to react to some stream of Deltarune chapter 3 when it's live, because I was school that day. That's gonna be my first day off of school, my first day of summer break. But I might be doing something else that day. So yeah, but now I'm gonna keep my stream as it is. So yeah. Anyway, so if we're going to read some series, I want to react to a Fanmade boss fight, called One Heck of a Ride. It's based on the Cowboys, I think, Screenshot Garden. I really know this to be a Western part of the Dark World or of this chapter. So yeah. And I got available on tell songs probably tomorrow, so thank you for that. And people, like I said, I was saying this, I feel like, you know what, I'm willing to just go and go with now. So yeah. I think that's it. And it was 2 weeks ago, April 27th. So yeah, let's go. Use what key? Oh, count. Huh. Those dive just looks cool. I could twist the characters. Very no, it's not colorful at all. It's black and white. Oh, I think they're like going off like no. Go back. The Good Bad the Ugly wasn't in black and white. That's the only like cowboy movie that comes to my mind right now is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That one. What? Oh my goodness! Oh, hold on screen, okay? Let's see. Oh, yes, see? Okay, this is already file. Well, always mid end, and this is already file. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, and this is already up there from the Family Papyrus fight. The in Undertale, the Family Papyrus Tenasai fight. I didn't know the yeah, nine yeah. Huh. Yeah, well played. Basante. Space Badge wants to Wesley freely again. This is so good. Y'all really believe in all that nonsense? It is all because you're the flowery. This is obviously that's creepy. Like touching my soul. So this is like remind me of Metaton, the Manaton fight. Because we saw at the end of the Manaton fight on the pacifist route on Undertale, his arc gets cancelled for having too low ratings. I'm pretty sure. So I might think about Manaton. I don't know. Now that I think about it, hold on. I don't know anything about that before. Metaton been teased in the previous 2 chapters. Because when you go to like Nat's Book's house, like you're not gonna do it say, nobody's in nobody, I remember, before Elvis built Marathon's robot body, they were literally a ghost. They had no body. This whole TV is Marathon coming with this? This would be a really good time for Marathon to appear because his whole thing was being on TV. Okay, this would back to series. That's for my series. And Marathon is most likely is gonna appear in this chapter. If that's the case, we haven't seen Marathon since. And in the Tensai one of Undertale, there was a Marathon Neophyte, but that got done really quick. But I hope it's the amount of time this time, because that's the amount of time since Undertale. So, yeah. And I don't think it got this robot by, so it might just be a ghost like Nasabrook, you know? We're going to see Nasabrook and on the police station, and both Taxes 1 and 2, so, yeah. And let's go back to this. So I had to see how I said quickly. Here's my cradle. Oh my goodness! Friend me, you know, reference Toy Story. Oh my goodness.
Light, camera, action!
Oh. Oh dang, I was hoping for like a big, I was hoping for a big beat top, dang it. I'm gonna see that. Okay, oh my goodness! This is insane! Oh! Oh my goodness. What's saying about food? This could be so good Toy Story references in this. Witty, a Toy Story.
Have you ever heard content
Y'all gotta
creators
be
say,
this is so
comment the
good
word
so
burgers
far.
below, and I'll send you over something
Goodness,
for
this
free.
came out
And
2
then
weeks ago. Man. I feel so high for that capsule, man. I feel like only 20 days. I'm really high school. What? What's he doing, though? What is he doing? Okay, I like that. Oh, blue. What? He has echo problems. Oh, that's Captain, isn't it? The yellow guy, that's Captain. still left 4 minutes of this field, so this is a long fight, a long battle. That'd be about now.
I'd like to win, partner!
Oh my goodness! That must be the done fight. Both Gauss's visitors I wrapped at a ball. Yeah, here, come on.
You and me, on!
Oh, yeah, 14% mostly, okay. Only 14%? Oh. Yeah, it's good, but I guess I saw it. Alright, what is that zombie? Oh my goodness. Oh. That was crumbling. I wonder what percentage is that. 78. Ooh, that's close. Only 22 more percent. Oh my goodness.
Welcome, everybody, to the grand finale. We're about to let the Lord yeah, our little partner and me. Come, everybody, it's time to go. Let somebody go.
This is insane.
Maybe you can tell we're about
okay. Before my favorite Fanmade, like Until boss fight was the Papyrus one. This beast, which is every single Fanmade, this is insane. I think this is a leak. I'm not saying this is actually a leak of the chapter, and he's putting Fanmade in the title so this get taken out by Toby Fox. Because this looks official. I know, like, because remember how we have a website section, and this looks exactly like what it would be like. I don't think this is actually a leak. And they put Fanmade in title so Toby Fox doesn't take it down. Goodness. At the end, Chaos King fight and I'm Tattoo 1. I think this is a trick. It is a trick because I can't King fight. Oh. I thought you said I could buy some more bullets or something, like some ammo, but no. Maybe it isn't like a chaos. Okay, voice box. Valve crystal. That's important. Yeah, for real. That it.
Fight like the wind, partner, because destiny awaits!
Man, that was so good. Oh, hold on, I gotta tell Puss I made this quickly. So I did Puts that book. Oh, I get it. Puts the book, like not the book. I get it. Man, it's so good. See your Pelicom. Oh my goodness, see your Pelicom on this? What? Okay, you know it's good when seeing Pelicom comments on it. Still a bit more left. What is happening?
Thank you for watching. This marks the end of Pete NVB's journey. But the beginning of H. Tutors the pot got some.
Yeah, go follow them on Twitter, and yeah, I'm gonna see what other videos they have quickly. Hold on. Let me see. Wait. You know the person who made the papyrus hints I was talking about? So no wonder it was good. Dang it. They look your friends with the person who made the papyrus family on Telefi. I was talking about earlier. The disbelief. Dang it. No one else. Dang it. But thinking all that statement I said earlier about this being better. I guess this is as good as that now, since they're friends. Dang it. If I knew that before. Dang it. I didn't know what friends with the person who created the papyrus hints I fight. The family papyrus hints I fight. That's not real. But that was really good. That was me for some series, y'all. Let's get some series it finally. Sorry it took like 22 minutes. Sorry. There's one video I'm trying to look for. I think Frida says the person I'm looking for because he does a lot of that one series. Yep. Oh. Yep. I'm trying to see which one. He has one why he knows why Chris' City Taint's color that wait, what? What of course? I don't know what that is about. I just think Chris is never gonna watch this one. It's only 15 minutes. Because my theory on why Chris and Susie Taint's colors because they went to toast, maybe the lighting of the toast is different. But I want to see what his theory is on why Chris and Susie Taint's color chapter 4. So yeah, let's see this. Can I add the title put? We added to a Fanmade. Fanmade. I can't type. Fanmade. Deltarune. Chapter 3. Battle. And hold on, I'm adding the title of the stream. And wait, what just happened? Why you put me there? Reacting to. And I'm gonna go to 2. Battle time. And see what's the time. There we go. What? What do you mean? Stream must discuss on a physical someone yelled besides start time. I can't, it's already started. Yeah, that's what. Or thing is, I can't. Wait, did I? Is it? Yeah, hold on. I'm just gonna edit or copy that and just edit the title later. Anyways, let's get to this series.
What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well so far. Let's cut straight to the chase. The newest trailer for Deltarune, chapters 1 through 4, just dropped last week, and in the Switch 2 Direct. And we see our first look at chapter 4. Well, besides the few screenshots that we had previously of smaller stuff, our first real looks at the characters in the Dark World. And something seems a bit off about them. They seem to have these weird color palettes. to be more exact, Chris and Susie during the trailer, in seemingly both obvious shots of Chapter 4, are kind of just off. But why is that? Well, let's talk about that today. But before we get into that, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And also join the Discord server. It's called the Fruit Basket. We have maybe like 210 people or so. And it's a great place. We play Gartic Phone. We do Jackbox. We do fun stuff. And we hang out. Great community, so be sure to join that. So what all do we know about the strange colors? Well, like I said, the newest Deltarune trailer revealed in the Switch 2 Direct last week showed us our first...
I'll talk about that for a minute. The next Star Wars will take place in a torch. Now, I don't know if Ty Fox was wanting to get into like religious topics because people are going to get mad for that because, yeah, actually, no. I wish he didn't want to talk about religious topics because I think I remember in one piece of content from Tattoo 1, with the three-headed dog fight, conversations you can have with them was to talk about religion. But Toby stopped that because he didn't want to get into that. But the title was talk with such a taking place in a torch. So that's kind of statements like dangerous territory, not about religion and stuff. So I hope Toby doesn't go too far with it, but we know that time's like gonna be about Noel. But Noel's dad says that he'll be at tour tomorrow, so that might be taking place on Sunday. And here we another talk about that room stuff. Has said that say too. And Tattoo 3 is going to take place Saturday night. So, yeah, then Tattoo 4 will take place Saturday night. Then Tattoo 5 to take place Sunday. Then maybe Tattoo 5 will take place Sunday night. Maybe Tattoo 5 will take place Sunday night or Monday. Then Tattoo 6 will take place Monday night or Tuesday. Then Tattoo 7 will take place Tuesday night or Wednesday. So, yeah. Anyways, what I say about tours? Yeah, so the topic focus on Noel, and I don't know what is gonna be in that. Like, I don't know.
Look at what we can presume with 99% certainty now to be the church Dark World, and Chris and Susie take on some different colors during these scenes that we see during this part of the trailer. We see basically two shots. We see one of some glass shattering beneath them, and Susie grabs Chris's hand and throws them up to grab a ledge above, and there's like stained glass windows and stuff. They're in a very dark room. It seems like the Dark World is kind of like falling apart around them and they're trying to climb out of it. And then we also see this picture that I have on the right here. We see, which is how we know it's from Chapter 4 with 100% certainty, because it says Chapter 4 is coming. We see them on these kind of like glass panels that have the angel, the Deltarune on them, running away from these like shadow darkness fireball looking things. And so this isn't something that keeps up the entire chapter. We know that it's not because of this, which I can presume once again with like 99% certainty that this is Chapter 4. These creatures look like a number of religious things that I would expect to not, or I would expect to see more in a church than a house. They look kind of like talismans.
But
they look kind of like those dolls that they make in Japanese culture to ward off rain and whatnot. And these symbols of something more supernatural than like a TV Dark World, for example. They also have like little souls flying around them. So this, I'm pretty certain, is from Chapter 4, and we see Chris, Susie, and Rousey here look pretty normal. And in fact, Rousey being here is also pretty important because we don't see Rousey during the Chapter 4 segments of the trailer. People are like, where's Rousey? That's kind of weird. Here he is. He is safe and sound. So, but why are Chris and Susie different colors during these two moments that we see in the trailer? The only two moments so far that we know, besides maybe a mini game or two, that takes place during Chapter 4. Well, I have, I think, 7 theories to talk about here. So I'll go ahead and say...
Dark Award. What? What possibly we're going to do is that we will see a Dark Award, Neo Dark Fountain, or some deeper layer Dark Wood. Try to make a Dark Fountain and a Dark Wood, but it will cost a Warren. What? That makes no sense to me. I'm sorry. That just too confusing for me. But of course, you heard about the one back in chapter 2 at the end of chapter 2. The dark fountain in the dark world. I don't think it's because of that.
Save us first. Obviously, the most practical theory here is that it's a lighting thing, and I'll talk about that more in a minute.
That's what I'm saying.
But before you
that's the lighting of the torch.
Pull out your keyboards and start typing, oh my goodness, isn't that deep? It's really just the lighting is different. This and that. I said it. I said it right now. I'll talk about it more later.
Sorry.
But first, let's talk about some more interesting things. And I've seen a lot of these theories tossed around by various commenters and stuff. I've seen so many, dozens of them. I didn't keep track of whose was whose, but these are also ideas that I've come to on my own as well. But if you had a similar idea, shout out to that, because you are possibly correct and had pretty interesting stuff to say, so thanks for that. So a popular theory regarding Deltarune as a whole is that we will see a darker world, or a neo-dark fountain, or a dark world inside a dark world, like some deeper layer of the dark world that might be more ominous and corrupted and twisted and maybe more meta and reveal something about death maybe, and lots of ideas here. I have a whole theory about that called what if it could get darker than dark, I think is what I called it, like we see in the Spamton sweepstakes. And we also know that it's possible to make a dark fountain within a dark world. So what if we're seeing that here? The reason why their colors are different, they're more muted, more faded. What if we're seeing that because this has happened and they are in a darker world created by there being a dark fountain inside of a dark fountain, like Birdley tries to do in chapter 2. So my issue with this theory is that it would cause the roaring, wouldn't it? Because when Birdley attempts to create a fountain in chapter 2, no one stops him at first because, I mean, I guess Queen believed that one could make a dark world inside a dark world, but Rousey stops Birdley and says that he'll cause the roaring. So why would that be any different here? If someone creates a dark fountain inside of the church dark world,
yeah, that's
wouldn't that also cause the roaring? So
it to the wall, probably until it was chapter 6 or chapter 7.
Unless we're seeing the start of the roaring right here,
to get to the wall, and
which I guess is technically possible, maybe. I really don't see this being a dark fountain inside of a dark fountain. We might see that eventually at some point. It wouldn't shock me. It'd be kind of cool to see what happens, or perhaps that'll be the event that causes the roaring. But unless this is the roaring starting, I don't think that's what's happening, or the roaring is just not true.
Yeah.
I've heard that the roaring is fake. So maybe that, if you believe that theory, then maybe that could also be the case. But this is maybe like a 4 out of 10 for me. Theory 2.
But different. Okay, let me read this. What if the means are getting darker? The dog. Not been found darker, but opening the fountain in the darker area is a steep area. Maybe the twist has a base that feels dark on the ground. It's dark in the closet though. No. Because I know St. Me Twist has a basement. But I don't know.
Is another take on the darker world, but a bit different. What if we don't need to open a dark fountain inside of a dark fountain, but simply open a dark fountain in a darker place, or go to a dark place inside of a dark world? Well, I have a few problems with this theory as well, and that's that the closet is already very dark. Like, it's a room presumably with no windows and without any lights on.
Oh.
But the Castletown dark world is just fine. Now, we could maybe excuse this by saying, oh, well, it's the pure grand dark fountain, so it's like this doesn't operate the same way. Maybe, but at the same time, it's a bit of a stretch. The sole reason why I bring it up is because maybe the church has like a basement or the lights go out or something like that, and it gets dark in the church and makes the dark world act weird. There's also this theory that I mentioned before that the dark world behaves differently at night because of what Sham says that one time. So, I'm not entirely sold on this one just because we have kind of counter evidence to go against it. So, probably a 2 or 3 for this one.
Chris and Susie swap. Huh? Susie's colors becomes browns and yellows and greens like Chris. Chris becomes more purple kind of. Maybe Chris and Susie swap colors and Susie becomes a human and Chris becomes a monster? No.
Theory 3 is that Chris and Susie swap. Now, they swap colors, they swap their species, like maybe Chris becomes a monster and Susie becomes a human. And the main reason for this is because Susie's colors become more like Chris's in that they're brown and yellow and green, kind of. And Chris becomes more purple-ish. So maybe this kind of explores the dynamic between
And I don't
monsters
think
and humans
that's
and how it
right,
feels
though.
to be a human in Hometown, in the world of Deltarune, versus being a monster, where obviously being a human is a lot less common since Chris is the only human that we see in the game so far. This would be a cool theory to see. It'd be kind of neat just to explore that. So maybe
Okay.
like, as far as feasibility, maybe like a 4. But as far as how much I want to see it, I'd say pretty high, like a 7 maybe. Theory 4.
Easels. We need eras. We don't need easels so quick. Sentiment CRTs and easels. We talk about Tana and Mike in chapter 2. What if what this easel is taste the color of the character wheel? One of the few examples of art in Deltarune is way to Father Alvin.
Is also a bit out there, but Spamton, when he talks about CRTs and easels, like we don't need anyone else. We don't need easels or CRTs. We don't need Mike. That whole scene. We can presume with some certainty that CRTs refers to Tenna at this point, right? Or the TV head character, who I'm nearly certain is Tenna, but not everyone is. So I'll just say that for cautionary sake.
Okay,
But
this one I believe in the most
these-
so far. So I believe in them both so far because CRTs could be talking about Tenna, but easel still would be talking about Mike. But I thought we see Mike in chapter 3. Are we not? Maybe we won't see Mike until chapter 4. Maybe that's why these are coming out, chapter 3 and 4 coming out together because we see Tina in chapter 3. The chapter 4 would be Mike. Maybe, but Mike, we thought that Mike was, apart from that was Tina and not Mike, but we thought that got confirmed with the file name. That's Mike. So at the end of chapter 2, that it is Mike. So I'm confused.
This easel's character, like who is the easel in reference? I don't think it's Swatch or Swatchling, because Swatch and Swatchling are like digital, like color picker tools. Not pickers, but like, you know what I mean, like little menus that have colors in them, right? I think an easel is the board that you draw, or the like the wooden frame that you put your palette on. Well, no, not a palette. I can't think of art terms. The canvas. So it's an art tool, and we know that Father Alvin, who is the father of the church, he's associated with art through the drawing of Gerson in the, which is who's his dad, obviously, in the classroom in the school. So maybe he keeps like art supplies in the church for the kids to use to kind of like, because he enjoys art potentially.
Maybe.
And we see an easel in chapter 4 that changes the colors of the characters temporarily because art and wow, and they can do that, I guess. Maybe we'll see an easel and some other art-based characters that are more prone to changing colors, like paint, maybe, for example. So this one makes some sense. I give it like a 5, maybe, and I do hope to see some kind of art-based characters at some point, which I'm pretty sure we will, because if not here, then in chapter 3 is pretty likely, with the whole how to draw dragons book and with the green crayon being missing and whatnot. I think some art stuff is pretty likely to appear at some point. Theory 5
Start of the
is
dogwood.
that this is the start of the
Last season not with start of the dogwood. Oh, so just like a start dogwood in chapter 2. And let's say with chapter 1 too. Chapter 1 and chapter 2 will watch us and with us at the beginning. And he usually is now for the dogwood. But of course the suits are trying to climb out as the dogwood is created around them. But they usually decided to go on the offensive.
the Dark World. So
the
main reason for this is that Rousey isn't there. So Rousey usually isn't there at the very start. So maybe he hasn't shown up yet. We've just fallen in. So my problem with this is that if this is the start, then it kind of implies that Chris and Susie maybe like are falling down and are still like mid transition, so like their colors aren't fully changed yet. So that's why they're kind of like in a halfway state. That's why the colors are kind of faded, and that they're trying to like climb out of the dark world as they fall in. But why? Because previously they've been all for the dark worlds. They've been willing to go. Chris even creates a dark fountain, so that's pretty good evidence.
Apart from if something messes them up like so badly in chapter 3, right? Because we don't know what's happening in chapter 3 yet. Like something could, like something like so scary, so traumatizing gotta be chapter 3 that both traumatizes Suze and there's not going to Susie and Gwiz that they don't want to go into a more dark wars. So I mean, really scary habits that traumatizes them. So maybe that's what it is. This one I believe is so far. This one I believe more than the others. I think this one is like an 8 out of 10.
And they've been excited for a new adventure. It seems a bit out of character for them to be intentionally avoiding the dark world, especially when it's their duty to seal the dark fountain, and they also seem to enjoy doing so. So maybe something happens in chapter 3 that causes them to change their opinions on this, or maybe it's just not true.
I'm ahead of the video. See, I'm ahead of the video. I probably haven't seen this before. I'm ahead of the video.
So, maybe it's like I can excuse it by saying it's the start of the dark world, but they fall in intentionally, but the ground just kind of like breaks beneath them, and they're getting chased and this and that. So they're not trying to leave; they're just trying to not get hurt, maybe. So, with Rowsley not being here, I give it like a 6 or a 7. It's pretty good, good theory. It's not super out there. It makes some sense. Theory 6 is the opposite. So we.
I was going to say this one else to see a fountain, which had been true during the previous 2 chapters. Maybe third party, we should find 4 as a fountain against such some as well, causing the dark with the climatic tasting. I mean, that happened with the Tennessee route, I think, at Deltarune chapter 2. And then the Snowgrave route, Spapton or Spapton Neo comes out saying for turn to a puppet or whatever. So, yeah.
We have the end of the Dark World. And here, I say this for the same reason as last time, is that Rousey doesn't join us to seal the fountain.
The same way as last
it's only Chris and Susie so far that have sealed the fountain at the very end of the game, or of the chapter, rather. So maybe a third party reaches the fountain before us, or the fountain gets interrupted in some way that causes the Dark World to collapse with us still inside. Now, if a third party sealed the fountain, like maybe the Knight for some reason, I don't know why they would, but potentially, if they sealed the fountain, then wouldn't the characters just appear in the church, like, fine? Because Birdley and Noelle are not present when we seal the fountain. They're, like, with Rousey a bit off to the side, and they wake up just fine. Well, Birdley usually wakes up just fine. And I just don't see that being a problem. If some other character closed the church dark fountain, I think we would all just wake up in the church. I think more likely there's probably some other way to stop or interrupt a dark fountain that maybe the Knight knows about, or some other character that's also in the dark fountains that we haven't met yet, like some third party that's kind of hiding from us, that could do something to the dark fountain to cause it to collapse and get messed up, leading to a climactic chase scene where we rush to escape the fountain as it closes around us. That would also once again explain why the colors change, because maybe the disruption causes the colors to get disrupted, or once again we're like mid color transition, so that makes the colors be more washed and faded. So this is also a pretty solid idea. I'd give it 1 less than the last one, since it requires more of a stretch, so maybe like 5 or 6.
I give it an 8, but
here's the final theory.
Finally. So my same class we have to toast class of color, because that makes it pretty because higher blessed found most of my estimate how this is the lamest boss of my likely theory. Yes, I'm sorry. But we're probably not taking this. I mean, the other things are good, but the most likely we're just overtaking it, and it's probably just the lighting and I'm sorry. I mean, yes, it's a lame, dumb say, but I know saying, I mean, the other series are good, but I mean, they also, I don't know. I never gave any of those 10 out of 10. This one, I'm giving that 10 out of 10 for being most likely to be true. So, yeah, sorry. Sorry, y'all, but we'll probably just overtaking it.
Lighting. Straight up, the stained glass windows of the church cast a colored light on the characters that causes them to appear different colors. Now, why does this not happen in previous chapters? Because, I mean, they've been in dark rooms in previous chapters, and their colors are exactly the same, like in Chapter 1, when you walk into the supply closet, so I don't know. Also, they've been in places that probably have certain levels of lighting that could make them look different. I think this is just chalked up to a higher production value, a bigger team, and also a more dramatic chapter, a more cinematic chapter, where, like, Chapter 4 looks pretty serious, pretty dark, and I could see it making sense for Toby to have a scene where, you know, that the stained glass windows of this regal holy place change the colors of the characters to reflect just, you know, how, I don't know, like how grand the whole scenario is. So this is probably like an 8 or 9 out of 10 for me. Makes the most sense. Is it lame? Is it not super like lore heavy? No, it's not, but it makes the most sense out of all of them. So that's what I'm going to go with for now. Is that, once again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this is probably the most reasonable and least crackpot theory that I could say with the most certainty. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's video about why the characters are strange colors. But before we get to the very end, if you want to become a YouTube member or a Patreon member or
I'm just going to skip the rest of this because that's how it's going to Yeah. But yeah, I know it's dumb, but I believe I think
We're calling on all late night coders.
That's what people are saying. Yeah. When for cliffhanger, the Starbound gets closer, cruising inside, give a body of hands of lost darkness. If Tab 4 into cliffhanger, I'm actually gonna be mad because we don't know what the next titles are coming out after this. My theory is that when Tab 5 and the titles coming, probably Tab 5, 6 will come next year. The Tab episodes come on its own, but if Tab 4 into cliffhanger, I'm gonna be so mad. Was in and that's it. Some no one else letting sunlight inside named them before. No, but I think I read more of that. Dang it. Yeah, I think it's just lighting. Anyways, good video. Going back to one more, and that's gonna do it for this stream. And then again, I will be able to tell songs tomorrow. Let me see what we have here. I almost want to this one. It's like Chris ate the forbidden fruit apple seed because I don't know what that means. Oh, well, that makes it give time for the toast, but I want to use any other ones. And then we make a fan of playing that. Oh, that was 19 minutes though. It's gonna pop on me through, but I am asking you guys in this because my fan could play during the Until Genocide fight. Yeah, that's why this will be the last one, and then that'll do it for this stream. I might do another reaction to that during the Deltarune 4 series. Probably, not tomorrow, but probably Saturday or Sunday. We'll see. Anyways, last video, y'all. Alright, let's go.
What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well so far. Let's cut straight to the chase. Medalovania. It's a song that exists. Very funny, very popular song. Medalovania, Sans Undertale. However, will it appear in Deltarune? And if so, where? Right? So this is a song that people are kind of hyped for and expecting to appear in Deltarune. So I want to talk about if it does, when will it appear? Like, in whose fight are we going to see this happen, right? So before we get into that, though, if you like the content on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe and consider becoming a member with the join button below or on Patreon or Ko-Fi. Thanks a lot. So what all do we know about Medalovania? Well, Medalovania has appeared in nearly every project that Toby has worked on, aside from Pokemon Sword and Shield. which I'm pretty sure he wrote a song for, at least one. But it's appeared in the Halloween hack for Earthbound that he made.
Yep.
It's appeared in Homestuck and obviously Undertale. It also appeared in Smash Bros. With the Sans skin for the Mii Gunner. So Metroidvania has been around the block a few times, and obviously it's most associated with Sans Undertale, the famous character from Undertale. But it's kind of Toby Fox's like his calling card, his signature on games that he's worked on, especially with music, of course. So will it be in Deltarune? Well, I think it's pretty high odds. I think Toby knows that he has kind of set a precedent for this happening, and that the fans kind of like want this and are hyped for this happening at some point. So I think pretty good chance that it appears in Deltarune. And also just like, why would he break his streak now? He's done so many projects that have this game, and at this point, it'd be kind of a shame to ruin his streak of putting Metroidvania in his work, right? So I think pretty high odds that it does, in fact, appear. So there are two major characters that I want to talk about the association that they have with Metroidvania. Now, I'm not going to get into like Halloween hack stuff or Homestuck stuff because I'm not super knowledgeable on those topics, and also I want to keep it to Undertale / Deltarune stuff for now. But these two characters, I think, are the most popular theories that are associated with the song Metroidvania. The first one is obviously Sans Undertale. I mean, it plays in the fight with Sans, so it's kind of to be expected. And what is Sans like personality-wise, his actions, his deeds? Well, he's initially a very passive character, almost kind of like a nihilistic character, where he acts kind of goofy, but like that he could kick your ass pretty easily. Like he has the kind of like this aura, this menacing, intimidating aura, where he's obviously holding back, and the way he acts goofy is kind of like even more intimidating, because it's like, why is he being so nice if he could beat me up so fast? He teleports around, he stops time, he like tells you you're gonna have a bad time. Obviously, is the famous one. So like he has this aura about him, and he only acts when he's 100% forced to. So he only ever fights us on the genocide route, and he's the hardest boss in the game, besides for maybe Undyne the Undying. It depends on how you feel about that. But it's one of those things where it's like he doesn't attack until everyone else is already gone, until it's for him life or death. Because every other route, if you kill his brother, Pyrrhus, he doesn't like get super upset about you for it, right? So he really does hold back and stay passive until he's like one of the last monsters in the underground, and feels like he has to. And even then, he kind of questions why he's doing it. Like he says, "Oh, there's no way to go back anymore. Like I've given up on going home. This and that." So he's obviously a pretty kind of depressed, maybe even given up, right? Also, potentially he's Sans Deltarune. Plenty of content about that.
Okay, yep. I know it's lagging. Come on, internet. I might just close this tab out. Let me see if that helps. Nope.
In Deltarune, then why wouldn't his battle theme be the same, right? So I figured I'd go ahead and mention that as well. The second association is the player / Kara. So there's a pretty popular theory regarding Metroidvania, which is that Sans is the only monster to attack you first. So you always get the first turn in combat, but when you fight Sans, he starts with his strongest attack, and he is the one that moves first. So he gets his turn first, and then the song starts playing. And it begs the question of like, what if the song that plays in a battle depends on who attacks first? So it's normally, I think it's enemy approaching. Is that what it is? That normally plays because the player attacks first. So it's the monster's theme, or it's like Spear of Justice is Undyne's theme because we attack her first, or we have a turn first. Whereas for Sans goes first, and here's our theme or Kara's theme. I'll go with the player here since that's more relevant to Deltarune. So we'll say that Metroidvania is maybe the player's theme after they've done all of this kind of super out there evil stuff, going out of their way to find new, trying to get more out of the game and find secrets, but obviously it's being done through destructive means, which sounds a lot like the weird route if you ask me. Obviously the weird route is a bit different in the case of like how it kind of plays on the psychological horror aspect and makes you feel bad about what you're doing because you're manipulating your friend and this and that. But the general concept remains that in both routes we see the player kind of trying to force the game to have more content, like what happens if I do this and do this and do that. So obviously the genocide route and weird route are pretty different, but they have that one core kind of similarity, right? So that's another way of tying this into potentially being relevant in Deltarune as well. What if Metroidvania is the player's theme in Deltarune? So our two main things to consider are instances in which the character who we're fighting is likely to attack us first, and also an instance where the character is potentially this kind of goofy, silly character that might have some kind of hidden power that only acts when they absolutely have to. And there are a number of good candidates for this. So let's ask ourselves the question, when will Metroidvania play? Well, the first candidate I have in mind is Sans Deltarune, obviously. I think this one out of the way first because, once again, it's Sans, right? It's kind of associated with him most heavily. Even if it is the player's theme, people still know it as Sans' theme. So Sans Deltarune, also possibly the same character as Sans Undertale. If we end up fighting Sans at any point, maybe Sans intervenes during a weird route, something like that. Maybe the song will play then. This is one of the weakest candidates that I have out of the 6 I believe I have here, because I just don't really see it happening. I don't see Toby pulling the same trick twice. Obviously, it's a very popular moment, the Sans fight in Undertale, so I can see like a humorous Sans fight in Deltarune to kind of call back to that, but I don't see there being a serious Sans fight that reuses Metroidvania again, because despite it being so famous, I don't see Toby pulling the same trick twice, and also, I don't think Sans is relevant enough, currently at least, to have a reason to be the one that would step up during a potential weird route fight in which he needs to stop the player or whatnot, because just like, why? There are so many better candidates to be the one to do that. Sans doesn't have a whole lot of stake or investment in this. He at least had some in Undertale because it was, Monster Kind and this and that, and his brother, and he was also told to watch the human child by Toriel, so he had some stake in the plot of Undertale, but in this case, all of the stuff that's happened so far that's been out of the ordinary or kind of messed up has happened in the Dark World, which as far as we know, Sans has no kind of relation to the Dark World. As far as we know, once again, that is subject to change. It could change. For all we know, he's been there before, but it's one of those things where currently I don't see this being a super solid candidate. Candidate 2, W.D. Gaster.
Okay.
Wayne Gaster. So this one is also kind of loose, but I think it has a higher chance of happening. So Gaster is associated with Sans, with the Gaster Blaster, and also people theorizing that they work together in the lab, or maybe that Sans and Papyrus are fragments of Gaster, and this and that. Maybe they're all skeleton relatives or whatnot.
Okay.
But
I like this
even then, I think Gaster's a solid candidate because I can see him stepping in to confront the player if we mess up too much. Because if Gaster's kind of this overseer of the game, he wants things to go a certain way. Perhaps that's a pretty common theory. Is that he's kind of like the dungeon master of Deltarune. He set it up. He created it. He placed us here, and now he wants us to kind of do a certain thing in that world, which is kind of unclear so far, but. If it's true to the legend, then perhaps he wants us to banish the angels' heaven and whatnot. So, what if we encounter Gaster, or he encounters us? Maybe he attacks us first because he wants us to stop messing up the game by breaking it with Noelle and whatnot in the weird route. So I can see that happening. Also, my favorite take on Gaster is kind of the goofy character, the kind of strange, eccentric scientist guy, who also kind of has a sinister and powerful side. He could obviously kind of wreck us if he chose to. He could easily fight back, but he's kind of goofy and aloof. I kind of like that approach over the super ominous, cold and calculating Gaster. If we ever do meet a physical form of Gaster, I hope that he's kind of silly, right? Which would kind of fit the description of Sans as well. So this is maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10 for me. This is a pretty solid candidate, I would say.
I would say more. Yeah.
Number
go ahead.
3 is Susie. So
Oh.
Susie is the character that is obviously very powerful and capable of fighting back. She resists the player and their will numerous times throughout the game.
Yeah, true, 'cause
Maybe I'll do a
she
video
wasn't
on
with
just
us
that, but I'm pretty
while
sure there
in
are
chapter
plenty of other
2.
videos about that as well. So I encourage you to find those after you finish watching this one, of course.
And her theme, Susie, is like rock, same like a Megalovania.
So Susie
Yeah, I give her like
resists
a
the player's
9.
control,
Like,
and
a
she's
9
pretty
out of 10.
powerful. She's strong. We actually see kind of a scene where she kind of takes action on her own and fights against Lancer at the end of chapter 1. And she also has this kind of ominous aura when she chooses to. She's a nice person. She likes to have fun and this and that, especially in chapter 2 after we see kind of who she truly is. But when she's trying to put on this ominous, angry facade, it works pretty well. It really does kind of feel like she's always in that state that Sans was in when he said, "You're gonna have a bad time," or whatever the line was back then. You know, the big meme moment.
Mhm.
She kind of has that feeling constantly during the first few moments of chapter 1 when she antagonizes Chris. So I think this is a pretty solid candidate because I can see an opportunity for her to fight back if she realizes, you know, Chris is opening fountains and risking the world being destroyed through the roaring, or she realizes that the player has been using Noelle and hurting Noelle, and Susie steps up to fight the player because we know Susie is currently one of the only characters that has actually done that so far. So I think that this is one of the best candidates. I've seen a lot of fan work that involves her being the one that uses Metroidvania in the fight, because I really could see her stepping up to protect Noelle or protect whatever she wants to fight for against the players, you know, the players' evil deeds, and she attacks us first and fights the same way that she did against Lancer. This is an 8 or 9, or maybe even a 10 out of 10 choice right here. Candidate 4 is Rousey. So Rousey is another character that could potentially intervene if things get, let's say, weird, maybe. And he comes off as pretty passive, pretty silly. I mean, he's literally a pacifist, right? But he's pretty obviously powerful. He's good with magic. He uses healing magic, but it's possible that he has some kind of offensive magic too. The legend shows the Prince of the Dark using fire magic, and he's a kind of a goat-like creature like Toriel and Azure, who also use fire magic. So if we believe that he reflects that, and also that the legend Prince of the Dark actually is Rousey, which I'm not sold on entirely, then it's feasible that he has fire magic. But it's, once again, he probably could use magic offensively if he chose to. And he also has a potential relation to Gaster. If you believe my theory that Rousey is made by Gaster to guide the Fun Gang and kind of keep the game on its rails and keep it on course, then he has that connection to Gaster, who has that connection to Sans. So it's kind of like I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy kind of deal. So it's not entirely like concrete or airtight, but that kind of helps a little bit. This is a decent candidate. I do think that we're going to have to defeat Rousey, or not defeat, have to eliminate Rousey by will. He'll probably accept it, though, if we have to seal the Grand Fountain, which I think is a pretty likely thing that we have to seal the Grand Fountain at some point. Rousey will have to be sealed along with it, and he will cease to exist. But I don't know if he's necessarily the one that I expect to step up and fight back. I think that it might be sadder to see him not fight back and kind of just get swept away with whatever we end up doing in the weird route, for example. So Rousey is a candidate. I'd give it like a 4 or a 5, maybe even less. But I can see it happening. It's not entirely out of the question. Candidate number 5 is Chris. So this is a pretty good one because it plays more into the player aspect of the two characters that are associated with the song.
Yeah, I guess
if you get into a scenario in which Chris attacks the player, this is a great time to have Metroidvania play. I could see Chris getting fed up and attacking the player through some means. I'm not really sure how they do that. Maybe if the player starts using the vessel and Chris attacks the vessel, perhaps. But we've seen that Chris can resist the player potentially for at least a little bit of time when they take out the soul. But Chris has been relatively passive, maybe because they just can't do a whole lot at the moment. But I think that once they get the chance to fight back, they probably will, especially on the weird route when we're doing these awful things to their friends and forcing them to kind of be the vessel through which we do those terrible things. this is a pretty good candidate. It would be a great, impactful moment to have this song play, this iconic moment play during the battle between Chris and the player. So this is, once again, maybe like a 6, 7, or 8. It's pretty high up there, I'd say. But here's my pick, personally, and it's Sham. So Sham is the character that I find is the most similar to Sans that we currently have, at least. So Sham is very passive, nihilist, and kind of goofy, but also mysterious and mildly threatening. So they had this aura where they know more than they let on, and they know maybe too much. And it's kind of like, how do you know that? Which I talked about this more in my determinism video, I believe. But they are obviously very nihilist and say like, oh, I don't really care what happens. It's going to be the end of the world. I'll see you at the end of the world. Oh, you're not going to change anything, this and that. But they're also clearly very powerful since they locked away Jevil and have combat experience. They have the, is it the Sham Ripper or the Seam Ripper or whatever it is in the Sham Plush, which is a staff that they use for combat. Very knowledgeable on things like the Shadow Crystals and Shadow Mantle, which is also potentially an item that they once used, maybe, because they used to have it in their shop. So Sham has combat experience and weaponry and such. I can see Sham being like absurdly powerful, but just not caring enough to use their strength. But what if, similarly to Sans, Sham ends up kind of overcoming that nihilism and acting eventually? I don't know what could cause Sham to act besides the player just being terrible, right? And threatening something that they care about ultimately, right? And this is more likely to me than Susie, because Susie is so important to the game. Like she's in the party, for example, for starters, but she's also just like more important to Deltarune than Sans was to Undertale, I feel like. Sans is admittedly kind of a secondary character. The fan base has obviously latched on to him and blown him up into be something like kind of like the mascot of Undertale, but in reality, he's not like he's important, but he's not that important. He's not Susie important to the story. He's just kind of a gag for the most part, besides a few scenes in which he's used pretty seriously. I can see Sham being a similar level of importance to Sans, where they're there and you kind of know that they're there, but you don't think much of them. You don't think like, wow, this character is going to be super impactful or have a really cool battle or this and that. Think, oh, it's just a side character that has some pretty cool moments and that's about it. But then out of nowhere, this character who you least expected to fight back because of their ideologies and their worldview ends up stepping up and being incredibly powerful and the hardest fight in the game. I could see that being the case here with Sham. I find Sham fascinating. They're just like a really cool character, great design, very mysterious. I want to know more about Sham. The same way that Sans kind of comes off, like it's pretty cool design. He's mysterious, this and that. I want to know more about Sans, and we do end up finding more about Sans in his fight. I could see a Sham fight that reveals more about Sham and why they are the way they are, right? So that's why I think Sham is a great pick, and I kind of hope to see that. I think Sham and Susie are the most likely. I think that I would rather see Sham, and I think that Sham is more likely, in my opinion. That's just the way I see it. If you have a difference of opinion, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below, and if I have a chance, I'll respond and just see how you feel about the whole thing, because I'm curious to see other views on this topic. But yeah, before we end, memberships are now open on YouTube, so if you want to join the channel, you can join.
Stuff. Yeah, I think it'll be Susie. Let me see what people are saying, though. What the... Yeah. Hold on, so I cannot. That sucks. Why will we boss? Boss songs. Maybe. Some other on that. That's it. That's a variation of RuPaul, but still. Maybe. Yeah, gender too. Yeah, I think it'll be Susie. It maybe because remember the tattoo two with Alex inside was with Noelle, because no Susie Lee kissed by Noelle, so I can see. Remember the bully fight? Bully really cared about Noelle, wanted to protect Noelle from us. So maybe Susie, it'll be anything with Susie. And that would, yeah, I can actually see that. I can actually see the same situation happen with Bully happening with Susie when she steps in to protect Noelle from us. So I can actually see that, but that's just my theory for now. Let's watch it tomorrow. We'll get it posted. I think 5 Undertale songs more than I think it was Saturday or something. I can be back to. I can do no stream back to that 20 times 3 or 4 save. Okay, there's still some more videos on Friday's channel. Some more series videos. So yeah, I know you're agreeing. I'm gonna say that's a silly game today, but yeah, I'm still for it. And yeah, I know the choice like right in line is different was dumb, but yeah. Anyway, so that's it. Must watch it. Go subscribe and that's when this week. Before get closer and closer every single day. I'm really excited. Alright, that does it. Before y'all do leave, and get subscribe, comment again today. I catch y'all tomorrow for those 5 Undertale songs. Keep gaming, gamers, and until next time, deuces.